I got involved in the HETAX movement because I was recruited by the executive director at the time to join CCNC in around 1988. And that was the time when Sidney Poon just stepped down as the national president and Gary Yee took over. And since Gary took over, he also made the redress movement for HETAX and Exclusion Act as a priority for CCNC. In 1989, June 4th massacre took place in Tiananmen in Beijing. And at the time, Chinese Canadians were very, very concerned. And CCNC took the position that our focus should be on Canadian government. We have never spoken or addressed the issue directly to other foreign countries. So CCNC spoke up and asked and advocated for the Chinese Canadians in terms of the Canadian government having to take a stronger role. So this kind of a position was seen as anti-Chinese government. So within CCNC, we were seeing a split or differences amongst our chapters. And shortly after that, another organization sort of was formed under the umbrella called the National Congress of Chinese Canadians, NCCC. The leadership within that organization was very obviously pro-Chinese government, pro-China. And NCCC sort of decided to take this position against CCNC. Sort of everything that CCNC was doing, they would take an opposite position. NCCC took a position that redress movement, while they should say that they should continue because there was amongst their memberships head taxpayers or families, descendants of head taxpayers. However, though, compensation was never their goal and objective. And one of the key examples was that when Mulroney government came up with a plan or sort of like their proposal to the Chinese Canadian community and CCNC in particular, that we are going to compensate the head taxpayers, but instead of monetary compensation, we are going to issue this gold medal for each of the head taxpayer. And of course, resoundingly, CCNC and our chapters, and of course the head taxpayers and families and descendants said no to that sort of token and meaningless proposal. Women play, I think, the most important role, not only in terms of leadership, in terms of advocacy, strategy, organizing, community education, and everything else in the redress movement. From Lillian Ma, Julia Tao, Winnie Ng, to Susan, everybody, and Dora, everybody within CCNC were very involved in the redress movement. And in particularly, I think women play a strong role in educating and raising awareness about the movement, because CCNC Women's Issues Committee published the first ever history of Chinese Canadian women called Jingguo, and subsequently we had a photo exhibit. With those activities, we raised the awareness about of course, Chinese Canadian women in the history of Canada, but also raising the awareness about the impact of HETAX and Exclusion Act on the Chinese Canadian families. Keep your eyes open to understand the systemic problems that we are still facing from economically, socially, and politically. We also need to bear in mind that we need to work cross-sectionally with women's movement, anti-poverty movement, so that we can truly have an equitable and fair and discrimination-free and racism-free society.